Alright, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to pre-record this video as well. I'm going to do my 2026 MLB preview, give an opening day 2026 preview, guide to what happened in the off-season, and then I might get some predictions on like the division winners or whatever. So, opening week has arrived after an off-season, which is a bunch of chaos. Not long after their historic late-season collapse, the Mets started an off-season overload, continued throughout the winter. Fresh off their World Series appearance, the Blue Jays added an ace to the rotation. The Orioles brought in a slugging bat taking their line. The Cubs finally made a big name free agent signing their fans have been craving. But in the end, Dodgers sent two-time reigning champions back to back, baby, through the sport by signing the number one free agent to a record deal. Whether you were just realizing Pete Alonso left the Mets for the AL East, the Dodgers spent, let's say a lot of money per year to add to their loaded team. Every signing, every trade, and still aren't quite sure what to make of it. Let's get right into it. So the Mets started their makeover with a swap of veterans. So the Mets were expecting to make changes after missing postseason, a historic collapse, an unacceptable showing for a roster with the second highest payroll in the majors. Showing payroll doesn't mean everything. You gotta have really good players and a good manager. And World Series aspirations. David Stearns, president of baseball operations, says much during his end-of-season news conference, but trading Brandon Nimmo was a stunning move that signaled he was up to a major overhaul. Nimmo was the Mets' longest tenured player with no trade clause in his contract. He was a part of the team core and has remained productive, but Stearns wasn't intent on moving him, but Marcus Semien, though 3 years older, has a shorter contract and as a Gold Glove second baseman. He valued the financial flexibility increase and prioritized bolstering the defense. So when the Rangers presented a one-for-one deal of veterans, he accepted and brought it to Nimmo, who waived no trade clause. It was the start of the off-season for them. How it shape up? Semien is 35. He's come off the worst offensive year of his 13-year career. 230 batting average, 15 homers, 669 OPS, and 127 games. He has 3 years, $72 million left for his contract. But he remains, I guess, an elite defensive second baseman, widely considered a positive clubhouse presence. Maybe he does rebound at the plate. He posted an 826 OPS and a 6.5 WAR F1 2023. He doesn't need him to carry a line line by Soto and Lindor and the All-Star they would sign in January, but he needs to at least just be good. Not saying get to be elite, but at least good. The Dominoes, second base wasn't a glaring need for the Mets with McNeil and Luis Aniel Acuna still on the roster. Adding Semien made McNeil and Acuna expandable, and they were soon out the door. Trading Nimmo opened an outfield spot that the Mets would eventually need to fill the top free agent in the market before deciding to move Juan Soto to right field to left field and create a competition for playing time in the right. The Red Sox got in on the early trade fund. The rotation was fine in 2025, finishing 12. Garrett Crochet was outstanding, and the rest of the rotation was mediocre. With Lucas Giolito still free agent, the Red Sox need some help. Need some veteran stability and a deep arsenal of young pitchers. They sent Richard Fitz and Brandon Clark to the Cardinals for Sonny Gray, and $20 million to help pay his $31 million salary. Can't talk. And the Red Sox weren't done. They traded John Oviedo from the Pirates for outfielder Justin Knox Garcia. Craig Breslow went back to the Cardinals, acquired Wilson Contreras for Hunter Dobbins and two prospects. Then, after failing to re-sign Alex Bergman, they put that money to signing Rangers Suarez to a 5-year, $130 million deal. And then they traded two more pitchers, Kyle Harrison and Shane Drohan, to the Brewers to plug in their hold at third base. So, in all, the Red Sox upgraded their rotation, and the infield Contreras and Durbin, who was third in the NL Rookie of the Year voting, both hit right-handed, creating more bounce to what was a lefty-heavy lineup. And Breslow did all that without increasing the team's payroll, also while keeping their two top pitching prospects in Peyton Tolley and Connelly early. So hopefully that can help Crochet in the rotation. The AL champs, the Blue Jays added Dylan Cease. They reached a deal with Dylan Cease. Same calendar month after they dropped the Game 7 of the World Series to Dodgers. They had Kevin Gausman, Shane Bieber, Trey Savage in hand, along with Barrios and depth options such as Eric Lauer. But it's clear they needed to make a splash, and they signed Dylan Cease to a 7-year, $210 million contract. And they also, I think, re-signed Max Scherzer to a 1-year deal, if I'm not mistaken. So they brought in Dylan Cease. They kept Max Scherzer. They did add another pitcher, I think. Cody Ponce. Brung back Scherzer, Cody Ponce. So, they were definitely active. Dodgers end up getting Edwin Diaz. During the previous offseason, they signed Tanner Scott to a 4-year, $72 million deal. In this one, he gets Edwin Diaz in a 3-year, $69 million deal. Tanner Scott didn't make it good for it. Wasn't good. And his struggles made getting Diaz a necessity. Maybe Tanner Scott can be much better this year, and hopefully Edwin Diaz is that elite closer like he has been with the Mets throughout most of his career. And Devin Williams also went to the Mets on a 3-year deal. Schwarber ended up returning to the Phillies. I think he had like 50-something home runs last year. So he was key to their entire offseason, bringing him back. His return was obviously much, much needed. Suarez went to the Reds. I believe the Mets had their pursuit of Kyle Tucker before he went to the Dodgers. The O's signed Pete Alonso, which made the Mets fans even more frustrated. You had to do a lineup of Gunnar Henderson. See if you can get Adley Rutschman back to what we thought he could be in that lineup. The Pirates even made this timeline. They traded for Brandon Lau, Jake Mangum, Mason Montgomery. It seemed the Pirates were serious about trying to upgrade their offense enough to take advantage of one of the game's most exciting starting rotations. And they also added Ryan O'Hearn and Marcell Ozuna in the offseason, probably creating their deepest lineup in years, if we're being honest. And we'll see if maybe their star shortstop, what we think it be, Connor Griffin, get called up at some point in the season. But obviously you have Paul Skeens, you got to try and upgrade your lineup, and they did what they could. The Japanese free agents kind of landed some surprises. Murakami was the most in the 3 Japanese stars. He hit 56 homers as a 26 years of age. He took a 2-year, $34 million deal from the White Sox. He had some concern about a swing and miss and defense in third, but he ended up going there. Tatsuya Amai going to the Astros on a 3-year deal with player options. That was another surprise considering the Astros had never signed a significant Japanese free agent before. Framber Valdez a free agent, and he ended up going to Detroit. Kazuma Okamoto went to the Blue Jays in a 4-year, $64 million deal, and effectively put the final period on Bo Bichette in Toronto, where he would leave. Yeah, so some of the surprising with the Japanese players, man. The Cubs, they end up getting their star free agent. They get Alex Bergman. I don't know what the deal was. It was a big deal, though. So you add him to the lineup. And the Dodgers in the offseason got that Kyle Tucker deal. I think it was $240 million, 3 or 4 years for $240 million. They went offseason thinking they only had a slim chance to lay to Edwin Diaz and basically no shot to land Kyle Tucker. They were willing to offer only a short-term deal, and they got them both. And 2 years earlier, they landed Shohei Ohtani, Yamamoto, and Tyler Glasnow the same month. The year after that was Blake Snell, Tanner Scott, and Roki Sasaki with Diaz and Tucker. They completed a 3rd consecutive offseason in which they land the best players of their targeted positions. And the Mets then countered with signing Bo Bichette. They moved quickly after not getting Kyle Tucker. It was a 3-year, $126 million deal. It's really a 1-year deal if Bichette stays healthy and produces since their player opt-outs after the 1st and 2nd seasons. But they really getting him. The Phillies re-signed JT Realmuto to a 3-year, $45 million contract. Lazard to a 5-year, $135 million contract. And I think they also re-signed Christopher Sanchez. Re-signed him. The Yankees finally did something. Belger with the Yankees party all off-season, and they agreed to a 5-year, $162 million deal. They made some trades. They re-signed, before that, re-signed Jason Dominguez to AAA. They also traded for Ryan Weathers, if I'm not mistaken. So, they didn't do much. They brought back Bellinger, but that was really about it. The final starting pitching dominoes fell. Well, in mid-January, 2 of the top 3 starting pitchers hadn't signed. The Mets had yet to do anything. The Rangers hadn't done anything. And the Tigers still had Tariq Skubal, but had yet to make any major offseason moves. With spring training closing in, it was time finally for something to happen. Boston pivoted from missing out on Bergman by relocating money that they're willing to pay him to Ranger Suarez, making its third offseason rotation additions. The Mets traded two prospects in Jet Williams and Brandon Sproat to get Freddie Peralta, who has one season left until his free agency. The Rangers traded 5 prospects for Mackenzie Gore. Came out one of the most shocking with Framber Valdez, a $36.5 million deal. This was a team they just lowballed Skubal in arbitration, gave Valdez nearly double the salary had offered Skubal. Skubal won his case, will make $32 million, but on paper, all 4 teams improved with all showing an urgency to win. I think Pete Crow and the Cubs are also going to finalize an extension as well. So, yeah, but that's really the main stuff that happened throughout the offseason, man. Kind of give a opening day a guide to the offseason chaos. I'm going to go over my division standings, predictions here. So I want to give like a preview for some of the off-season shit that went down. But I didn't think I went over everything, but that was most of the big things that went down. The American League East. The Yankees seem to always have these 90-win seasons, you know, but you know what? I'll go Blue Jays, Yankees, Orioles, Red Sox, and Rays. For the American League Central, I'll go with the Tigers, Guardians, Royals, Twins, and White Sox. The Twins honestly could be last, to be honest here. They're straight ass, honestly. The American League West, I'm going to go with the Mariners, the Athletics, the Rangers, the Astros, and the Angels. With the National League East, I'm going to go Phillies, Mets, Braves, Marlins, and Nationals for the American League East. For the American League, that was the National League East, sorry, my bad. We're on the National League right now. National League Central, I'm going to go with the Cubs, the Brewers, the Reds, the Pirates, and the Cardinals. I know the Brewers win it every year, but I'm sure the Cubs have to win it they're going to have to win it one year, right? For the NL West, obviously I'm going to say my Dodgers. I'm going to say the Dodgers. I'll go with the Diamondbacks, the Padres, the Giants, and then the Rockies last. But yeah, that's what I'm going to have for these. For my division predictions. So I went over the offseason, kind of some shit that happened. My predictions for the standings. Let's go over some awards of the NL Cy Young. You know what? I'm going to go different. I could just say Paul Skeens. I'm going to go with Yoshinobu Yamamoto. For the American League, I'll say Tarik Skubal. It's probably going to be Paul Skeens in the NL, but I kind of wanted to go different. The NL MVP, also Shohei Ohtani, AL MVP, Aaron Judge. No different. Those two are going to win probably the MVP every year until maybe they get older. But yeah, that's all I have to say for this video, so leave a like, comment, subscribe for more. Peace. Leave your thoughts in the comments below.